Hey Global Village, what's up? Okay, today I want to talk about science fiction as versus science prediction, because it seems that these two things are being dangerously and disingenuously conflated in a way that I find personally very upsetting, and primarily because I'm such a huge fan of science fiction, to the degree that I am an aspiring science fiction writer, and that there are some truly wonderful science fiction authors who unfortunately are turning out to almost be treated as avatars for a lot of the AI hyperbolic nonsense we are having to deal with today. So, specifically speaking, Wall Street Millennial, the YouTube channel, has just put out a video where they talk about Vernor Vinge, who is, by all accounts, a wonderful sci-fi writer who wrote one of my favourite books called A Fire Within the Deep. And in A Fire Within the Deep, he actually coined the phrase the technological singularity, which has proved to be a rallying point for people like Elon Musk, Dario Amodei, and Sam Altman, as they effectively employ fear tactics around AI in terms of its current potential. And what they are basically doing here is, and you might think this is counterproductive, but the reason they are doing this is because they are subliminally telling you that their AI technologies are so powerful that we need to be very concerned and worried about the technological singularity as if it's something that is just around the corner. Newsflash, it is not. The current state of the art in AI, these neural networks, deep learning methodologies, do not offer a credible path to the technological singularity. Now, on that note, I have written an essay which I have called The AI Lie, and which I do intend to publish at some point. As I have mentioned on a number of occasions on my channel, but which I will mention here again, I am significantly visually impaired and therefore cannot actually effectively read my own text. So as a result, these videos are always 100% contemporaneous, and that always comes with its own challenges. I'm not always going to be as articulate as I might want to be, and I may often miss out things that I actually really wanted to talk about, because that's just what happens when you aren't following a script. So yes, I am keen to actually publish that because it is a more carefully considered and curated piece that I've written about my personal thoughts on AI. Now, with that said, what I want to focus on here is, as I said, science fiction versus science prediction. And it is unfortunate that science fiction, which I think offers a tremendous vehicle for storytellers to tell, to offer very important messages and to teach us very important things about our own humanity, to perhaps offer a cautionary tale about the height of human folly, greed, brutality and cruelty, and how we should all be on guard for it, and that in fact it's something that can affect all of us. I'm going to give a little example here where obviously I struggle with sense of rage and anger with regards to Israel and Zionism, but it would be wrong to simply focus on what's happening in Palestine and what Israel are doing as if Israel is somehow uniquely evil, because that is not actually the truth. The truth is something far more disturbing. The truth is the Israeli people are literally no different than anyone else, and the fact that they can become completely indoctrinated with an extremely toxic worldview, which somehow has enabled them to visit horrific levels of brutality upon a people who simply are incapable of being able to defend themselves, and that they have positioned themselves in such a position of political and geopolitical strength that the rest of the world is simply going to sit back and watch it happen, is itself a very, very important warning that the whole of humanity has to listen to, and we have to understand that we are all vulnerable to this mechanism of brutality, and that what is happening in Israel is not unique. It has happened before, and it will happen again unless we learn the deeper lesson. These are the types of stories that can be told very effectively through science fiction. And I believe, for example, my personal favourite author of all time, Ian M. Banks, and his Culture series are a perfect example of how deep science fiction can be used to tell very human stories that offer a very important message that we should all, that if we listen to, we are likely to become wiser and perhaps more compassionate and more realized human beings because of it. Now let's contrast that with what's happening with Vernor Vinge, because it appears, and I will link to Wall Street Millennials video here, that he has transcended from science fiction to science prediction in a way that he was manifestly not qualified to do, and that in some sense his writing became subverted into an almost zealot-like way, to which has been unfortunately being misused by the current suite of entrepreneurial grifters in the technological space, which again are using these fear tactics to overhype the capabilities of their own technologies. I will always remain a fan of Vernor Vinge's work, and I think if you actually read his novels, there's far, far more in there than just something to simply say that it's a prediction of what might happen with technology, but rather more a story about how humanity can be reckless with the tools that we create. And that doesn't necessarily have to do with AI. That's a story that humanity has been telling since we invented the wheel and learnt to harness the power of fire. A shovel can be used to dig a hole or to hit someone over the head with it. And humans have been abusing our ability to harness technology in ways that have been either brutal to our fellow humans or have been deeply damaging to our own environment, the world in which we live in, ever since we've basically been an industrialized species. But anyway, I think that's all I wanted to say. Again, this topic matters to me because I am deeply passionate about science fiction. It is a mode of storytelling which I find to be the one way that I want to tell my stories, and that my stories are not predictions of the future of what science fiction what science may bring in the future, but rather a vehicle upon which to tell a story about us and about our failings and about maybe how we can become wiser and do better in the future. Bendy out.